Hashtag 03 Hashtag what would you do if your own family asked you to give up your dream job just to babysit your sister's kids while she finds herself on a beach in Bali? That's exactly what happened to me, and when I said no, they cut me out of the will and called me a traitor. I thought I was choosing peace, but I didn't expect the war that followed. Backhand index pointing right. If you love stories filled with family drama, betrayal, and jaw-dropping twists, hit that subscribe button now. My name is Jason Morgan, and 6 months ago I thought I was about to step into the best chapter of my life. I had just been offered a dream job, senior software engineer at a top-tier tech firm in Seattle. It came with a 6-figure salary, benefits that could make your jaw drop, and a relocation package so generous it felt like they were paying me to breathe. I was finally going to leave behind the small suburban town of Morrowville, Ohio. The same town where I'd grown up, gone to school, and been guilt-tripped by my family every step of the way. Seattle was my shot. A fresh start. My life, my terms. So when my parents invited me over for Sunday dinner, I thought it was going to be a celebration. Maybe they'd pop a bottle of wine, make that ridiculous casserole Mom always pretended was gourmet, and finally say they were proud of me. What I got instead was a family ambush. It started innocently enough. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, the usual pleasantries. My sister Rebecca was there, sulking as usual, her kids Ben and Ellie screaming and climbing on the furniture while she scrolled Instagram like a teenage babysitter. I waited for the right moment, then smiled and said, "So, I have some news." Mom perked up. "Are you dating someone?" she asked, hopeful. Dad just grunted, cutting his meat like it owed him money. "No," I laughed. "Actually, I accepted a job offer. In Seattle. I'll be moving there next month." I waited for the congratulations. Instead, silence. A heavy, thick, awkward silence. Rebecca froze mid-scroll. Mom's fork clinked against her plate. Dad looked up from his food like I had just told them I was joining a cult. Then Mom spoke. "Jason, we were actually hoping you'd stay here. Just for a little while." "Stay here?" echoed confused. "Why?" Rebecca sighed dramatically, like a bad actress in a community play. "I'm going away. I need time to reset. Heal. Find myself." Mom reached over and grabbed my hand. "She's going on a spiritual retreat. A whole year journey. Asia mostly. Yoga, meditation, maybe even some volunteering. It's something she desperately needs." "And you want me too?" I blinked. "What?" Dad put his knife down. "Someone has to take care of the kids while she's gone." Actually laughed. Not because I thought it was funny, but because I thought it was a joke. "You're kidding, right?" "No," Mom said, her tone flat. "You're the only one who can." "The only one?" I repeated, still trying to catch up. "You both are here. You're retired. We're too old for full-time child care," Dad snapped. "And Rebecca's been through a lot. Divorce isn't easy." "I know it's not," I said slowly. "But you want me to cancel my career move and babysit my sister's kids for a year while she soul searches in Bali?" "They're not just her kids," Mom said sharply. "They're your family." I looked at Rebecca, who for the first time looked up from her phone, her eyes misty. "I need this, Jace," she whispered. "Being a single mom, it's drowning me. I haven't had a break since before the divorce. I can't breathe. I need time to just be me again." I felt the walls closing in. The food on my plate had gone cold. My mouth had too. "I love Ben and Ellie," I said. "But this is my life we're talking about. I've worked for this job since college. I don't just want it, I need it." Mom's voice hardened. "So your sister's healing means nothing to you? Her healing requires abandoning her kids for a year?" I snapped back. "That's not healing, that's running." "Don't you dare," Rebecca whispered, tears brimming now. "You don't know what it's like to be left, to be used, to be alone raising kids." "No," I interrupted, my voice sharp. "But I know what it's like to be the family backup plan. The one who always steps in when no one else will. And I'm done." Dad pushed his plate away. "Selfish. That's what this is. You can always find another job. Family comes first." I stared at them. This was it. This was what I meant to them. A resource. A plan B. Someone who didn't have a wife or kids, so naturally, what else could I possibly have to do? The rest of the night blurred. I remember Ben asking me if I'd still come over for movie nights. I remember Ellie putting a jelly bean in my pocket and whispering, "Don't be sad." I smiled for them. But inside something broke. Not because of what they asked, but because they truly believed I'd say yes. The next few days felt like living in a slow-motion car crash. I tried to go about my business, wrapping things up at my current job, arranging my move, starting to look at apartments in Seattle, but my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Missed calls from Mom, voicemails from Rebecca. A barrage of family group chat messages filled with passive-aggressive memes about honoring your roots and the importance of sacrifice. My parents had turned my decision into a full-blown betrayal. By Friday, I caved and agreed to meet them again. Maybe they'd calm down. Maybe they'd understand. Spoiler, they hadn't. We met at their house, the one I grew up in, still decorated with country-style curtains and those weird porcelain geese Mom always swore were charming. I stepped into the kitchen and found Mom already holding a thick folder. "I made a schedule," she said matter-of-fact. "Just in case you change your mind. We've broken the days into shifts. You'll have mornings off on Tuesdays and every other Saturday. We'll help with pickup and groceries. You can still work a remote job if you want. I think it's very manageable." "Mom," I said slowly, "I didn't come here to negotiate shifts. I came to tell you again that I'm moving." She stared at me like I had spoken another language. Rebecca appeared in the doorway behind her. She looked pale and tired, in that curated way influencers post pictures with captions like, "Today was hard but I'm healing." "I just thought," she said softly, "that if anyone would understand it'd be you." "Why me?" I asked. "Why not ask Dad? Or one of your friends? Or, I don't know, hire a nanny?" "Because you're not tied down," Mom snapped before Rebecca could answer. "You don't have a family. You don't have kids. You have flexibility." "No," I said, my voice rising. "What I have is boundaries." Rebecca's face crumpled. "You think I don't feel guilty? I do. Every second. But I'm drowning, Jason. Do you know what it's like to feel trapped in a life you didn't choose?" I took a deep breath, fighting to keep my voice even. "Do you know what it's like to work your ass off for 10 years, knowing that no matter what you do, your family will always see you as disposable?" Rebecca's eyes flicked toward the floor. Dad walked in then, holding his coffee mug like a prop in a courtroom drama. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," he said flatly. "No, I'm finally making it clear," I shot back. He stared at me, then asked a question that would rattle in my head for days. "How much do you think we owe you, Jason?" I blinked. "What? You act like you've been this perfect son. Always helping, always sacrificing. So how much is enough? What do you think we owe you for that? A parade? A free pass to abandon your family when we need you?" The silence hit like a slap. I stood there, heart pounding, unsure whether to laugh or scream. "You don't owe me anything," I said. "But maybe you could try appreciating the fact that I've never asked you for anything. Not one damn time." Rebecca's voice cracked. I just thought if you loved me you'd help." "I do love you," I said more softly than I expected. "But love doesn't mean setting myself on fire to keep you warm." And that was when Mom said it. The line that flipped the switch. "Well, then maybe it's a good thing you don't have kids, Jason. Because God help them if they ever needed you." I felt something in me snap. I didn't say another word. I walked out of that house, got in my car and drove. No destination. Just roads and silence and the thundering thought in my head. They don't see me as a person. They see me as a tool. Later that night, I got a text from my cousin Sophie. "Sophie, 8:14 p.m. Hey, just wanted you to know that Mom said your parents are telling everyone you abandoned your sister during a mental health crisis." Sophie, 8:15 p.m. They said you're choosing a fancy job over your own blood." Sophie, 8:16 p.m. Just wanted you to know what's being said. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just a family disagreement. This was war. The invitation came on a Sunday morning. A casual text from Mom. "Family lunch at Aunt Carol's next Sunday. Just come. It'll be good for everyone." No mention of last week's blowout. No apology. No acknowledgement of how they'd twisted the narrative and broadcast it like a damn Facebook scandal. But something about the tone, it was too smooth. Too rehearsed. My gut said don't go. But my pride wanted to see just how far they were willing to take this. So I showed up. Aunt Carol's house was full when I arrived. Not just my parents and sister, but cousins, uncles, and even Pastor Green. Yes, the same guy who once gave a sermon on forgiveness after my cousin Paige got caught cheating in youth choir. I stepped into the living room and immediately every conversation halted. All eyes turned toward me. If shame had a temperature, the room was ice cold. Jason, Aunt Carol said stiffly. We were just waiting for you. I almost turned around. Almost. But I sat down. Mom stood in front of the fireplace like she was hosting an intervention on some reality show. Rebecca sat beside her, tissues already in hand, kids nowhere in sight. This isn't an ambush, Mom began, which of course meant it absolutely was. Just concerned. Deeply concerned. About the choices you're making. Concerned, I repeated, voice dry. Because I took a job? Dad cleared his throat. Because you're walking away from your family. Pastor Green chimed in like this was some kind of therapy circle. Jason, family isn't just blood. It's commitment. It's sacrifice. It's being there when it's hard, not just when it's convenient. I looked around. No one met my gaze directly. Cousin Josh, who once blew through 20 grand on crypto and asked me for a loan, nodded solemnly like he was Gandhi himself. I don't need a sermon, I said. I need space. Mom stepped forward. And what about your legacy? I blinked. Pie what? Dad walked to a side table and opened a drawer. He pulled out a plain manila envelope and handed it to me. Inside was a photocopy of their living will. A sticky note was attached. This can be updated anytime. I stared at it, then looked up. You're bribing me now? It's not a bribe, Mom said. It's a consequence. Aunt Carol chimed in. Sweetie, they just want you to know that family loyalty matters. You can't turn your back and expect no reaction. I laughed, sharp, humorless. So I don't help raise kids that aren't mine, and suddenly I'm the prodigal son without the return? Rebecca finally spoke. Her voice cracked like dry leaves underfoot. I just want to know what I did that made you hate me this much. I snapped my head toward her. You know what? That's rich. I have spent years cleaning up after your messes, watching your kids, bailing you out of bills, lying to Mom and Dad to cover your hangovers and mental health retreats that were just trips with new boyfriends. Gasps around the room. Rebecca's tears dried fast. Her face hardened. How dare you bring that up in front of everyone? How dare you use your kids as bargaining chips to manipulate me? I shot back. Pastor Green raised a hand. Jason, this isn't productive. No, I said. It's honest. For once. I turned back to my parents. Let me make this clear. You can cut me out of your will. I'll make a bonfire out of it and toast marshmallows. But you will not guilt me into giving up everything I've worked for just to keep playing the family mule. Mom's mouth fell open. Dad turned red. Rebecca stood and stormed out of the room. No one stopped her. Silence hung like smoke. Then Aunt Carol, in her perfect Southern Ohio passive-aggressive tone, said, Well, I guess we know where you stand. I nodded. Yeah. Now you do. And I walked out. I didn't go home right after the intervention. Instead, I found myself sitting in my car in the Walmart parking lot, staring at nothing for close to an hour. I wasn't even sure how I got there. I just drove until the road stopped looking familiar. It wasn't the will, or the fake tears, or even Pastor Green reading out verses like I was some lost lamb. It was the audacity, the total, shameless confidence that they could manipulate me. Again. That night I couldn't sleep. I tossed, turned, checked the clock every 10 minutes. Around 3:12 a.m. I opened Instagram out of habit, and by some cosmic twist of fate, a story popped up from someone I hadn't heard from in over 2 years. Lauren, my ex. We dated for almost a year. Back when I still thought being there for family would eventually earn me some kind of love or peace. She left because, in her words, you treat your family like gods and yourself like a servant. Harsh at the time. Not anymore. I tapped the story. It was just a sleepy selfie with her cat. But before I could second-guess myself, I typed, Hey, weird question. You remember that time Rebecca said she had a breakdown and I had to move back home to watch the kids for 2 months? Right after Ben was born. The 3 dots appeared instantly. Then came her reply. Lauren, 3:14 a.m. You mean the time she went to a clinic in Arizona? Lauren, 3:14 a.m. Yeah. Except, she wasn't in Arizona. She was in Cancun. My stomach dropped. Lauren, 3:15 a.m. I saw a tagged photo from her friend's account. They were at a beach resort. Cocktails, spa selfies, the works. Lauren, 3:16 a.m. I didn't say anything because you were already breaking your back to help. Thought you knew. I'm sorry. I stared at the screen, jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth might crack. Cancun. While I was skipping interviews, diaper changing 2 kids and working night shifts remotely, she was sunbathing, laughing, living. My parents knew. They had to. There's no way they didn't. But they let me believe I was saving her. That she was fragile. That I was needed. The betrayal hit me like a second-hand slap. Delayed but just as sharp. I sat there, heart thudding, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. Lauren messaged again. Lauren, 3:18 a.m. You okay? I typed. Deleted. Typed again. Finally I sent. Thank you. You just confirmed everything I needed to know. I gave myself 1 week. 7 days to pack, confirm my lease in Seattle, finish my onboarding paperwork, and prepare for the most important conversation of my life. Not because I owed it to them, but because I needed to hear myself say it out loud. This time I wasn't walking into a trap. This time it was on my terms. I texted Mom, Rebecca and Dad. Jason, 7:42 p.m. Family meeting. Sunday, 6 p.m. My place. No kids. Bring whoever you need. When they arrived, I was already seated at the dining table. Folders stacked neatly beside me, laptop open. Lauren sat across from me, calm but alert. Rebecca was the first to break the silence. Really? She scoffed. You brought your ex? She's not here as my ex, I said. She's here as a witness. Dad raised a brow. To what exactly? Let's start with some facts, I said, clicking my laptop. A photo appeared on the screen. Rebecca, laughing with a cocktail in hand on a white sand beach. Cancun, time-stamped from 3 years ago. Remember when you said you had a breakdown in Arizona? I asked calmly. The one that destroyed you? You told me I was the only one who could care for Ben and Ellie, and I dropped everything to come home. Rebecca blinked, her face going pale. Lauren cleared her throat. I saw those photos years ago, she said, but didn't say anything because I figured Jason already knew. I regret that now. The room went still. Then Mom leaned forward, voice low and cold. That was a personal trip. She needed it. She lied, I said. And you enabled it. Dad's jaw tightened. We asked you for help because family steps up. No, I snapped. You didn't ask. You manipulated. You guilt. You weaponized loyalty against me. Over and over. Rebecca finally exploded. Okay. So what? I was drowning. I needed air. I didn't think you'd fall apart over a couple of beach pics. Fall apart. I repeated. I missed a once-in-a-lifetime job interview. I worked nights while raising your kids. I got dumped because my girlfriend thought I was married to your life. Lauren said nothing, but the room felt like it was holding its breath. Mom's eyes glistened. You act like you're the only one who's sacrificed. No, I said, voice rising. I'm the only one who never got to say no. I reached into the folder beside me and slid out a printed document. My official relocation agreement with the Seattle firm. Then another. An email exchange with a child welfare consultant Lauren had introduced me to. Just so we're clear, I said. If Rebecca tries to leave her kids again for some journey, I've already filed a notice of concern. It's not a report. Yet. But if you try to dump that responsibility on me again, I will escalate it. And I have legal backing. Rebecca stood so fast her chair scraped loudly against the floor. You wouldn't. I would, I said. Because I won't be coerced into parenthood. Not by you. Not by anyone. Silence. Thick, biting final. And then, Dad exhaled. For the first time since this whole mess began, he looked directly at me. Not through me. Not past me. At me. I never should have let it go this far, he said quietly. Mom turned to him shocked. Tom. No, he said, raising a hand. He's right. We leaned on him too much. Expected too much. And we didn't give a damn what it cost him. He looked at me then. Really looked. You deserved better. It was like hearing a stranger speak through my father's mouth. I didn't even know what to do with it. Rebecca snorted and grabbed her purse. Whatever. I'm done. She left without another word. Mom followed, muttering something about how this family is falling apart. Only Dad stayed behind. We sat in silence. Until he said, You were never disposable, son. We just got used to you never saying no. I nodded once. That was all I could give. Then he stood, walked to the door, and before he left, turned back. "You don't have to come back, Jason. But if you ever want to, it'll be your choice." And then he was gone. The U-Haul was already halfway unpacked when I stood in the middle of my new apartment, letting the silence settle around me like a long exhale. The space wasn't anything fancy, just a one-bedroom overlooking a dog park in downtown Seattle. But to me it felt like the moon. Untouched. Quiet. The air smelled like pine cleaner and possibility. I collapsed onto the mattress on the floor, too tired to bother with a frame or sheets. My phone buzzed next to me. I ignored it. For once, I wasn't jumping at every notification. I wasn't bracing for guilt. That night I didn't dream. The next morning I woke to light pouring through the windows, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I owed anyone my first breath of the day. I made coffee. Not the brand my mom liked. Not the one Dad always bought in bulk. Just the kind I liked. Dark roast, unreasonably strong. I drank it on the balcony, barefoot, watching a corgi chase pigeons like it had a mission from God. I should have felt triumphant. But the truth? I just felt tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. The kind that comes from years of playing a role you never auditioned for. Around noon I got a text from Lauren. Lauren, 12:03 p.m. "Hey. Just wanted to say I'm proud of you." That took guts. Not many people stand up like that and still keep their dignity. Jason, 12:05 p.m. "Thanks. I think I'm still waiting for the part where I feel proud of myself." Lauren, 12:07 p.m. "It'll come. Guilt is just the echo. But echoes fade." I stared at her words for a long time. He was right. The echo was still there. In every quiet moment. In every memory that threatened to twist itself into a what. But it was quieter now. 3 days into my new job I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single piece of paper. My father's handwriting, clean and deliberate. "You made the right choice. I'm sorry it took me so long to say that out loud. Dad." I sat on the edge of my bed and let myself cry. Not the ugly, gasping kind. Just a quiet stream of release. He hadn't said it in person. But he said it. And sometimes that's all you get. Saturday night I was reorganizing my bookshelf when my phone buzzed again. A picture message. It was from Rebecca. Ben and Ellie sitting on the porch with ice cream smeared all over their faces. Big smiles. Messy hair. Happy. No text. No caption. Just the picture. I stared at it for a long time, unsure how to feel. Then I saved the image. Opened my photo album. And created a new folder. Family, the real kind. I added the picture. And closed the app. Hey Reddit. I don't post often, but after everything that happened this year I needed to get this out. If only to stop replaying it in my head every damn night. Long story short, I am 27, got my dream job in Seattle earlier this year. I announced it at a family dinner, thinking it'd be a celebration. Instead I was told, flat out, that I should turn it down to stay home and babysit my sisters, F30, 2 kids, while she took a year-long spiritual healing journey across Southeast Asia. No joke. A full year. Yoga, soul-searching, beach-hopping, the works. Apparently because I'm single and childless, my life was considered the most flexible. When I said no, they called me selfish. They staged an actual intervention with extended family and even brought our pastor. My mom handed me a copy of her will and told me I'd be removed from it if I didn't step up, like a real son. But the real kicker? I later found out from my ex that my sister had lied before. One time she claimed to be having a breakdown and needed me to move back home to help, and she was actually in Cancun with a boyfriend. I missed job interviews for that. So this time I didn't back down. I brought the receipts, emails, photos, legal warnings, everything. My sister stormed out. My mom called me heartless. But my dad, for the first time in my life, looked me in the eye and said I deserved better. Now I live in Seattle. I've got my apartment, my job, and peace. Real peace. I still get the occasional guilt text. I still miss my niece and nephew. But for once I wake up without a weight on my chest. So I guess my question is, was I wrong for choosing myself? Or is it okay to walk away when love turns into obligation? Top comment, you/chaos and coffee. You didn't walk away from your family. You walked away from being exploited. Big difference. You/greeny-eyed therapist. Love doesn't mean setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. I'm stealing that. Beautifully said. You slash milk tea goddess. Wait, they cut you out of the will. Just for having a career. That's generational toxicity right there. You slash daddyissues__HD. I cried reading this. Not because it was sad. But because it's the first time I've seen my story told by someone else. Thank you. You slash Rebecca_Defender88. Okay, but single moms do need help. You could have helped a little instead of going full court drama. You slash JustJason89OB. I did help. For years. I just finally stopped when it became expected, not appreciated. Edit. Thank you to everyone who commented. I've read every message. Some made me laugh. Some made me cry. Some reminded me why I posted this in the first place. Not to be told I'm right. But to remember I'm not alone.